little bit about, like how did you respond or react to that? Because I know like initially when you have a shift in health, especially, right? It's like there can be anger, there can be all of these emotions coming up, but how do you respond to people who are like, how do I know you're just faking it? You want sympathy, that kind of thing. I would
I
love to
would,
hear.
yeah, well, when people have said that, you don't look blind or,
Yeah,
are you faking it? I'm like, do you think anybody would walk around with a white cane or walk around pretending that they're blind? Like, that doesn't
yeah,
make sense. Like, if
yeah.
somebody tells you they have a disability,
Hmm.
able-bodied people don't walk around saying, I have a disability. Like, they just
Yeah,
don't. Like,
yeah.
and so if somebody does share that they have a disability, that can be really hard for some people to do, especially the
Hmm.
non-apparent ones. Like 9 out of 10 disabilities are non-apparent where you can't see them, right? So if somebody
Yeah,
discloses that, oh, I do have a disability or these are my challenges, take that as a compliment that they trusted you to share
yeah.
that, because so often we're shut down or dismissed, or you're faking it, it's not true, and so if people tell you, like, really do just take it as a
Hmm.
compliment that they felt safe enough to share with you that they're going through these changes and challenges in their world.
I love that you share that because, one, why would someone want to fake it, right? And the other thing is that trust piece that you're talking about, right? Is I feel safe enough to tell you, but we also know that there's this stigma that there's a judgment right away that if you have this, you're not capable of all these things. People are making an assumptions. Um, Tell me about how your lived experiences with the blindness, the ADHD, the epilepsy, how they shaped your view, your personal view of inclusion.
Well, we talk about inclusion all the time.
Yeah.
But if, as a society, people don't know how to assist somebody who's blind, communicate with somebody who's deaf or has a speech disability, if society doesn't understand that 9 out of 10 disabilities are non apparent or what accessibility is, because it's more than a parking spot, a bathroom, and a ramp, we will
Hmm.
never have inclusion. We are just putting that word inclusion out there. But when we don't know how to work with each other and support one another and have those uncomfortable conversations, there will never be inclusion. People keep talking about inclusion, but what does that really mean? And my
Hmm.
biggest barrier is the social, stigmas and attitudes and the built environment, not my disabilities. I've found ways to navigate life. It just looks different. I may have to use alternative tools and devices, technology,
Yeah.
mobility device. And if you've met one person who's blind, you've only met one person who's blind. If you've met one person who has
Yeah.
autism, you've only met one person who's had autism. The only thing that we share is the diagnosis.
Right. Because
We do
everybody has
not.
such an individual spectrum of it.
Absolutely. And within every disability is a spectrum. Some people it impacts them mildly, some profoundly. We all have different support systems at home, school, and work in the
Hmm.
community. We all have different finances. So not everybody is able to purchase the tools and devices that make life easier.
Yeah.
We don't all get the opportunity for rehabilitation and training. Some people live in remote areas. And every
Mhm.
single person is on a different acceptance in their own journey.
Yeah.
We all have different confidence, preferences, strengths, and stretches. We all have, different likes and different needs. And so, it's really being mindful when you meet somebody, you're meeting one person, find out about that person. You may have had
Yeah.
one experience with somebody with a disability that may not have been a positive experience, but just because, somebody barks at you for whatever reason,
Yeah.
right? We don't know what's going on in each other's worlds. Doesn't mean you
Hmm.
don't ever speak to somebody again who might have that disability. If a cashier barks at you, you're not going to never speak to another cashier. It's just
Right.
sometimes disability is such an uncomfortable topic for people because
Hmm.
they don't want to offend. They don't
Yeah.
always know what to do. They don't want to embarrass themselves that they don't know. And us older folks were also taught don't look, don't stare, and don't ask questions.
Hmm.
Right. So,
And
and
not to take
all
away
of
anybody's
that,
independence either.
right? All of that leads to avoidance, not connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things, I was just thinking about, not only the stigma, but being able to help people shift to how do they ask you if they can help?
So I think that one of the best things to do is just ask first. Don't jump in and help because that could cause harm or danger
Mhm.
to us or to our mobility devices. So please don't ever touch or move anybody's mobility devices. It's not like we can easily replace them if something does happen. But asking, you could say, may I assist you? Or would it be helpful if I?
Mhm.
XYZ. When you use the
Yeah.
terms, would it be helpful if you're not putting, the look on you need help, right? And
Mhm.
said, can I help you? You are,
Yeah.
may I assist you? Uh, would it be helpful if I reached that for you? Or would it be helpful if I grabbed the door? And if
Right.
somebody says no, like don't take offense to it. There's times people have offered help to me and I've said, oh, I'm okay, thanks. And well, I was just trying to help. And I'm like, well, I
Uh,
didn't ask for your help. And
yeah.
if we can do things for ourselves, we want to, right? It just may take us
Yeah.
longer or it might look a little different,
Hmm.
but don't take offense if somebody says no. And that's something I really want people to, be mindful of is not everybody needs help.
Right. And
Yeah.
just to help our listeners or our visual audience here on YouTube as well, what are some of the invisible disabilities so that people would have a greater awareness?
Oh, mental health. So we
Hmm.
have anxiety and depression and bipolar and all of that whole section. We have neurodivergent people, chronic pain.
Yeah.
There's brain injuries. There's oh my gosh, there's so many different ones. Um, PTSD.
Hmm.
Yeah, a lot of like the learning differences, ADHD,
Yeah.
autism, dyslexia, there's dementia, there's, vision, hearing. You can't unless we have a cane and you see the hearing aids,
Right. Right.
dexterity, right? So some
Yeah.
people, pain, knee pain, back, shoulders,
Yeah.
all of that you can't really see. Sometimes
Yeah.
people may be in pain and you could see facial expressions in that way.
Hmm.
I think one of
Yeah.
the biggest, most frustrating things I hear from the community for when it comes to parking, and somebody gets out of their car, and it looks
Hmm.
like they don't need the accessible parking,
Yes.
but we don't know what's going on. Maybe they just had hip surgery or knee surgery, and they can walk a little bit, but can't walk for far distances, or
Yes.
maybe somebody is picking up somebody
Yeah.
who also, right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of judgments, and people get called a lot of names when they park in the accessible parking. So that's something like I say, 9 out of 10 disabilities are non-apparent, that you just can't see them.
Yeah. So
And people
again,
don't want to
get
disclose.
curious, right? It's
Yeah,
for people to get curious versus judgmental is
yeah,
always an important thing. Thank you for sharing those because I don't know necessarily that everyone realizes how invisible some of these are unless there is the white cane, right?
yeah.
Or seeing the wheelchair or seeing the walker that it gives the or the like you said the ear device, the hearing aids and thing. For
In Canada, it's 27% of our population
wow.
have disclosed that they have
Yeah.
disabilities. That's just the disclosed. That's not the ones that haven't disclosed. So
Yeah.
you are looking at 1 in 4 people, like if you're in a
Mhm.
large networking event or in a large room, one
Yeah.
in four people have a disability. We don't know necessarily what's going on with them, but
Yeah.
mental health and learning differences are very common, like a lot more
Yeah.
common than people realize.
Yeah, and it leads me to think, when there is these events or even like everyday things, are we considering that, the noise in a room, as an example, can be overstimulating for someone and another person they can't hear something, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, how do we consider those environments when we're planning different things?